What is up? Welcome to Bleach Boys number 13. We're back doing another 6 episodes, and this leads us right into a filler arc, unfortunately. But we won't start that this episode. There's actually a lot of good shit this episode.
Action.
We do Ulquiorra versus Ichigo round 1. We do Uryuu and Renji versus Szyayelaporro. And then we do Grimmjow versus Ichigo.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
We get a lot of ground covered this episode.
How many episodes is this?
6.
They do all that?
Yeah,
it's
lot.
my boy's number.
Yeah.
They didn't take the cue from Dragon Ball Z. They need like 32
they
episodes.
didn't pat it up enough.
You got to scream.
They instead decided to just go filler arcs all the time.
Yep.
So starting right off where we left off, Ichigo goes Bankai and Hollow Mask all in the same go because he's ready to fight Ulquiorra and he's not going to hold anything back. He jumps in the air, immediately does a Getsuga because why wait? Ulquiorra goes to block the blast with his hand and kind of like catches it. But then Ichigo like jumps in and attacks him at the same time. It was like, oh,
nice.
okay.
He's learning.
He's full aggro on Ulquiorra. He knows better. So Ulquiorra kind of ponders about this new form because it's the first time he's ever seen it. And he's wondering about his spirit energy and how it's almost like he's one of us, which is a running theme a lot of the Espada seem to figure out. Ichigo fires another Getsuga at Ulquiorra, who catches it with his right hand. He's trying to kind of like push it back, kind of doing a bit of a beam struggle like Dragon Ball Z. But he's slowly pushed back by the blast until finally he says impossible, and then boom, he gets fucking blasted.
Nice.
We see Ichigo standing there, out of breath, panting as his mask crawls and cracks and falls to the ground. Nell tackles him, happy, thinking they've won, and crying, saying how scared she was for him. Even though he was completely beat physically, he still fought with everything he had. He apologizes to Nell and is like, all right, well, let's go, and then gets up to leave. But just then, he looks up through the smoke and sees Ulquiorra is just standing there.
Good on Ulquiorra.
He just let it hit him, though. He was okay with it.
Ulquiorra is very well behaved.
He's like, oh, I'm not going to come after you because you didn't know I was going to do it.
So Ulquiorra's clothes are all kind of roughed up at this point, and he's like impressive. Even using 2 hands, I couldn't stop it. I'm quite surprised. Pause. Is that it, Ichigo?
Ooh.
Then he raises his hand and says, how unfortunate, and then shoots like his classic kind of like blue-greenish Sero at Ichigo, and that fucking shoots him outside the wall. Immediately,
Wait,
Ichigo
he ate the fucking Sero?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Ichigo is like outside now, immediately rebounds, like doesn't like slam the ground for seconds, now running Nell in his arm. And she's knocked out from the explosion. And just as he's kind of worried about Nell trying to wake her up, Ulquiorra appears running beside him and kicks his dumbass all the way back inside one of the red pillars, like sends him fucking flying.
Wow.
Ulquiorra appears in front of him and says he's impressed with Ichigo's reaction time. He used his mask to block the Sero, but it shattered instantly.
Oh, that's
He says you have nothing left, so it's time to give up. He goes a step forward, but Ichigo kind of raises his sword and like holds it out and pokes him in the chest. Ichigo says, I'll never surrender. You're the leader of the Espada, aren't you?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yes, I remember this part now.
This is so painful.
Ichigo continues, it's simple. All I have to do is defeat you in battle, and then the war is over. And Ulquiorra just goes, I see. It seems you have been misinformed. And then takes the tip of the sword that Ichigo's holding up, uses it to rip his own shirt, showing the number 4.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, Espada number 4, Ulquiorra cipher. Of all the Espada, my power is ranked 4th. And then he raises his hand, jabs it into fucking Ichigo's chest. Classic. And he says, Ichigo Kurosaki, it is pointless. You cannot defeat me. Even if you were lucky enough to succeed here, there are 3 Espada ranked above me that are much stronger than I. Try as many times as you like. And then he pulls his hand out from his chest. Ichigo collapses to the floor, and Ulquiorra says, the results will always be the same. And so Ichigo is now on the floor, and Ulquiorra continues disrespecting Ichigo.
That's right.
Could you imagine knowing that you just didn't kill somebody by stabbing him in the chest?
Well, first of all, you think you're a badass because you're like, I'm taking number 1.
Yeah.
Getting your ass beat by number 4, and you're just like, shit.
Yeah, and it's about 5 seconds, Ichigo has a very rude awakening.
Yeah.
So Ulquiorra continues on saying, it appears I have grossly overestimated you. Your development didn't meet my expectations. And then he turns to leave and says, if you can still move in that condition, then leave Hueco Mundo immediately. If you can't move, then die there. No matter what your path ends here, Soul Reaper.
That was very sweet of him.
Yep. And then we see Ichigo, and he has like all of his black spirit energy kind of like rushes off of him as he gets turned back into Shikai form because he's in Bankai. And we cut to Orihime, who has now sensed Ichigo, and she says, oh, it can't be. Then she hears the door creak. She turns and kind of goes like Ulki, and it's the 2 girl Arankars who say they would like to play a game.
What if she started referring to Ulquiorra as Ulki?
Yeah. So we cut away from that. We don't get to see what kind of fun game they're going to play. Mm-hmm. We go back to Szyayelaporro and Renji, where we last left off. Renji had just managed to injure him with his Shikai by like wrapping him up in like, I don't know, doing like a burst of his energy. Renji does another cool move where he bounces Shikai off a whole bunch of walls.
Oh, I remember
Basically
that.
creating like a spider web around the Espada and then calls it to restrict, creating a coffin around him. But he calls back his sword and then the Espada isn't even there. So Szyayelaporro just somehow disappeared out of that.
Is that a really cool move I've never seen Renji ever use again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was a very cool move because in this fight, he's forced to use a Shikai. So like it's the one time we actually have to see him be creative with a Shikai. Other times he just goes full Bankai.
Yeah, he Ichigo's it.
Yeah.
I rewatched the part where he where Aizen reveals himself.
Yeah.
And I saw it's like, oh, I'm gonna hit you with my Shikai, and Aizen's like, really? And then just shatters the whole fucking thing. It's like, dude, you don't get a fucking chance, do you?
So Szyayelaporro is just like, yeah, I've already told you that I have all of your data and statistics. So your attack speed's obviously a basic part of your technique, and it's extremely predictable.
Yeah.
And Renji tries to attack some more, but Szyayelaporro just dodges over and over. Szyayelaporro eventually stomps down and breaks off like one of the teeth off of Renji's Shikai. And he's like, yeah, I'm tired of this. Your Zanpakuto is the power type. There's absolutely nothing special about it, is there? In fact, the manner in which it changes form is extremely rudimentary. Whatever interest it once held has faded. Then Szyayelaporro pulls out like a buzzer, like a game show buzzer out from his collar. He goes, why don't we finish this? Presses it, and then a bunch of like hollow Arrancar things pop out from the wall. He explains that they're called the Fracciones. And Espada are given Arrancars that have the rank of 11 or lower to be our direct subordinates. They serve as living testaments to our ultimate supremacy as Espadas. Some of the Espadas only have one, while there are others that have many. If you remember, I think Hannibal has three.
Three. Stark has one.
Yeah.
Lily.
Does Baragon have any?
He probably does.
That's
but
a great
I don't
question.
remember.
I don't remember.
He probably would have referred to everyone else's as Fracciones.
He probably would have killed them. So
good point.
And then he goes, not to brag, but my 8 Fracciones are a bit unique. They were originally hollows that I had modified, and then Lord Aizen was kind enough to use his powers to turn them into Arrancars. So he had actually experimented on them beforehand, and then he's like, hey, can you just turn them into Arrancars too? And he's like, sure, why not?
I got you.
And then just then a really big one appears from below the ground and knocks Renji to the ground. And he says, why don't we be realistic about this? Your incompetence is definitive proof that you're not worth it to fight me directly. Say goodbye. The show is over. Then the big-ass Arrancar goes to punch Renji, sending him flying across the fucking room. The Arrancar continues to follow him, picking him up and throwing him to the ground. Renji just basically gets mollywopped here. The Szyayelaporro turns to the rest of his Fracciones like, hey, no one interfere.
Ooh.
And then he goes, of course, I won't interfere either. Do your best to try to make our epilogue exciting. Then the bigger Arrancar reaches towards Renji, and we cut to Orihime.
Dude, that's disrespectful from a character that goes all the way to 1,000-year Blood War arc just to not really do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're back to Orihime. The two girls, who we don't know their names yet, are admiring how she lives in a nice fancy room. They come in, they sit on her couch. They're like, wow, Lord Aizen must like you a lot. Isn't that true? And they keep calling her princess. And then,
Is it because of her name?
I don't know. They just, the one girl refers to her as princess. She goes, you're the girl of the hour. You must be important. It's amazing that 5 people came to save their princess. Then we get flashbacks of every one of them getting fucked up in their fights. And Orihime just the whole time was like, no. And then one of the Arrancars gets in her face and says, do you think you're worth of this attention, princess? Do you think that everyone should kneel down and worship you? And she's kind of making Orihime walk backwards, as intimidators do. Eventually she gets cornered against the wall. Orihime's like, no, I don't think that. Then the Arrancar says, let me give you a little piece of advice, Miss Orihime. Then she goes, princess, and then grabs her hair and throws her across the fucking room.
Hot.
Damn.
She says, don't start thinking you're special. You're nothing but a human. You don't deserve to be at Lord Aizen's side. She then puts her foot on Orihime's head. The other Arrancar comes over, and she looks towards the original Arrancar with the foot on the head. And it's like, you want to beat her up?
I want to hear like World Star get shouted by in the background. It's like fucking Yami's got the camera. World Star!
So the other one agrees, and then they're like, we'll stop when the baby starts to cry. Then the one Arrancar starts stomping her head over and over.
Damn.
And we go back to Renji. We're not going to get to see how that goes.
Sorry. If any human got curb stomped by an Arrancar, they're dead the first try.
Yeah. I think how I would write that off is they're purposely trying not to kill them because they know they get in trouble.
Yeah.
So they
just want to beat the shit out of her.
Yeah.
So we go back to Renji, and we see that he has stabbed the giant Fraccione in the hand as he was trying to pick him up. He slices his hand. The Fraccione begins to freak out, and Szyayelaporro's like, ooh, it's like you created a troublesome situation for yourself there. He continues, once he's gotten into his state, it's not easy to stop him like that. The Fraccione is going berserk and attacking everything at this point, and he has Renji cornered on the ground, goes to crush him, but then just kind of stops. And that's when we see a rapid blue firing hit the Fraccione in the side, and we hear Ishida's voice. He's now there.
Lame.
It's one of the few team fights we actually get in this series.
I feel like team fights could have been so badass.
Yeah.
They could have. You get the guy who never ever wins a battle and has like the thought process of a child,
Yep.
and the guy that over explains every fucking battle to the point of it being shitty.
They make one person.
I'm curious. Yeah, this could be. Yeah, it could be one super decent, okay person to fight.
So Uryuu's opening line when he shows up, he says, "Unfortunate for you, when you built this room, you didn't have it built with seki, which is the stuff that keeps the spiritual pressure out." He said, "I can sense your spiritual pressure through 3 walls," and then that's the end
What
of the
is
episode.
his deal with numbers?
It's because of the glasses.
So before we start the next new episode, I want to go ahead and give you guys a stat. So this new episode, theme song plus recap, 5 minutes and 33 seconds
So you're getting 15-minute
Wow.
to
episodes.
get to the new content of this episode.
Wow.
15-minute
And
episodes.
And that's the record
maybe
so
10,
far.
yeah.
5 minutes, 33.
An average like outros are about 1:30 too, so that's another fucking
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
7 minutes.
We
and you have
mastered it because of
22 minute.
Crunchyroll. Skipping.
Yeah. So 15-minute episode.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy.
Incredible.
So we pick up with this episode back with Orihime. She's running to the door now to try to escape as we see a red balla fly past her and blow up the door, sending Orihime flying back. Orihime looks back at the Urankar, and the other two just kind of mock her, saying, "It's like, well, do you have anything to say?" It's like, "Go ahead, say it. We're not monsters. We'll listen." Like, what do you?
my god.
Orihime then says, "If you don't have any business with me, then please leave." And of course, they don't take kindly to that.
This is school bullying. To
Yeah,
the max.
straight
I hate
up.
this.
So the one Urankar looks back to the other and is like, "Well, what do you think?" He's like, and then they continue on saying, "We just need your help." And that's where we learn the name of one of them is the short, blonde-haired Urankar, Minali. And they say, "Minali Sero is not working too well. She can't quite control it, and sometimes it just shoots out all on her own," as Minali is charging it in the back.
Oh, that's scary.
And she says, "In fact, if you're not quite careful, you might get hit by mistake. And it's totally different from the balla I just shot a few moments ago. If this one hits you, it might kill you." And Orihime kind of just lowers her head and says, "I see. It's like I only exist to serve and do as Lord Aizen says," thinking like that'll get them to fucking bounce. This just pisses off the one Urankar who's been bullying her the whole time. She says, "Don't you dare speak that name. You don't fool me. You're full of yourself because sometimes you get to speak to him directly." So she's a little jealous.
God damn.
I would love her to go on the offensive and do like the Sun Tenkeshu stuff.
Wouldn't
and
do
just beat
much
the-
though.
Well, just like yeet him, like just enough to frazzle him.
Yeah. So Orihime just kind of stares at this point, and then the Urankar continues, whose name we don't know, says, "Cut the attitude," and then pulls her to her feet. Orihime begs them to stop at this point, but then she just gets fucking slapped across the room.
Oof.
This is where you find out that I believe her name is Loli, the black-haired twin Urankar. She has like pigtail twin, who's been kind of beating her up. Picks up Orihime by the hair once again, and she says, "I told you to stop acting like you're better than me. I'm gonna make sure you never see Lord Aizen again."
Oh.
Minali speaks up at this point, saying, "It's like I think she got the message. Like if we take it too far, we're gonna get in trouble." And Loli says, "If you don't have the guts for this, then you can just leave." Oof. And just then, a spiritual pressure hits them, classic Bleach, and we see an explosion make a hole through the wall. They turn and it's Grimmjow.
That's my boy.
And he says, "It looks like you two waltzed in here while Ulquiorra was away and are having fun at someone's expense."
God, I would love if he killed both of them right there.
So they ask Grimmjow, Grimmjow walks in, they ask him, like, "Why didn't you just use the door?" And he's like, he made
Doors
the
aren't
hole
needed
right next
for
to the door.
badasses.
What a guy.
And he goes, "Well, somebody already blew the door off and it ruined the entrance." So yeah, it's like Grimmjow then approaches the two girls, and the two girls get visibly nervous and tell him to back off and not to mess with him. Grimmjow just walks up and fucking decks Loli, sending her flying across the room. Minali then rushes her with her balla ready to attack Grimmjow, and he just catches it in his fist and redirects his arrow towards Minali, like fucking incinerating the top half of Minali.
Yep.
Oh.
Grimmjow then walks over to Loli, who is on the ground, scared as shit. And she's like, "Lord Aizen will kill you. He'll wipe you out, and there won't be a trace for you when he's done." And then Grimmjow just fucking stomps her in the fucking face.
Yeah, he just stomps her out.
He says, "What morons," as if Lord Aizen would give 2 cents for a couple of worthless piss ants like you.
I
He's a
remember
bamf,
that
dude.
line.
Yeah. Yep.
So Orihime at this point is asking him why he is doing this. Like why are you here? And he replies, "Returning the favor for my left arm."
Aww.
He then grabs Orihime by the collar and says, "Did you think I came here just to save you? Now that I've repaid my debts, you have no excuse to turn me down. Just a small favor. I have something I need you to help me with."
Smart.
Zip.
Then we go back to Renji, who the other Fractioners are now reacting to the fact that the big one has been killed. They're all kind of freaking out.
Wow.
From the shadows, we hear Pesce. He's up there in the hole in the
Yeah,
wall
the
where
lad.
Uryuu came from. And he wants to know, how's it going? Is everybody impressed? Was it a cool entrance? Then Uryuu looks down and all the other Fractioners are freaking out, wanting to kill Uryuu now in a blind rage. They're pissed that he killed their boy. And Szyayelaporro kind of tells them all to quiet down and let our guest speak. Uryuu says, "Thanks, I have something I need to find out. Are you an Espada?" Because you don't want to make the same mistake twice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he reintroduces himself as number 8, Szyayelaporro Grans. And Uryuu says that's a relief. At least you aren't number 1 or 2. So at least Uryuu is being realistic about
he's
this.
like, I can't kill this one.
Yeah, if it was 1 or 2, do you think Uryuu would be like, ooh, later?
But Ichigo thinks he's got 1 or 2, and it's like, oh.
Nope, only 4.
So Szyayelaporro says, speaking of which, who are you? And then Uryuu introduces himself and says, I'm a Quincy. And this basically makes Szyayelaporro have a fucking orgasm with how excited he is to hear that information.
Nice.
He says, you're the one who defeated that moron Tsuruchi. He says, what incredible luck. I get a Bankai user and Quincy. What could be better than this? So Uryuu then jumps down behind him as he's kind of giving that speech and fires one of his seal sniders. I still don't know how to pronounce that fucking word, and I watch it all the time. And it punctures him right in the stomach. Szyayelaporro falls to the floor, grasping for air because he's got a fucking sword in his stomach. And then Uryuu begins to notice that the energy from his seal schneider begins to freak out kind of and disappear altogether as the handle falls to the ground. And Szyayelaporro begins to laugh and says, come on now. It's like, didn't you think that something was wrong when I knew who you defeated?
Oh.
Yeah. And he says, I've just been toying with you because I've already analyzed all of your strengths and weaknesses. You're done, Quincy.
He's got the antithesis of fucking Uryuu. He's the guy that did all the pre-planning before the battle. Oof.
So we cut back to Minali, who is now waking up on the floor, even though she was incinerated.
She's still alive?
And she thinks back to what happened and wonders why she is still. And then Loli cuts her off and says it was her. She did it. And then we cut back to Grimmjow and Orihime, where Grimmjow tells her to heal all of her injuries because you can't walk around with Orihime looking fucked up like that.
Yeah.
Orihime looks over to Loli, who is struggling on the ground, and Orihime runs over to her and begins to heal her back to full. Loli even at one point tries to slap Orihime, getting her to stop, telling her not to use her power. Then she just keeps doing it. And then after that, she goes over to Minali and heals the same for her.
So technically, you could be dead and she could just heal you.
So Loli looked like she was probably knocked out. They did the classic anime thing for Minali where they didn't show you the top half.
Yeah.
So I would assume she was straight incinerated. And yeah, you could be just dead and she could revive you apparently.
So she got hit by her own bala and killed herself?
Well, yeah. Grimmjow redirected it.
Yeah, basically she had it in her hand and tried to Rasengan Grimmjow with it. And then he was like, nope, boom. And just fucking took her out.
Don't you love the Sero noise?
I fucking love that noise.
So Loli, witnessing Orihime's power, says now that she just can't comprehend it. She doesn't understand what it is. And she says she's a monster. So even Loli is Orihime's power is pretty fucked up. We go back to Uryuu, who he is fighting the Fractiones now. And he mentions that the strength behind his arrows are getting weaker as he fights. He continues fighting and then keeps saying once again that they're getting weaker by the minute. Szyayelaporro says, well, I think it's time to do some fine tuning here, and then raises his hand. Uryuu continues to fight, jumps around, about to fire an arrow. But Szyayel says, oh no, that weapon is about to disappear. And then it just fucking does. It just disappears inside of Uryuu's hand. Uryuu is about to get absolutely fucking decked by one of the Fractiones when Renji jumps in and blocks it with a Shikai.
Oh, nice.
He says, don't stand around doing nothing. Find some way to defeat him. I always thought your specialty was finding the enemy's weak points. Now find a way and prove it. So Uryuu says, I do have a way to beat these guys. You want to try it? Renji agrees and says, but first, I have a little favor to ask. See if you can manage not to screw this up. Then they begin to fight. Once again, one of the first few fucking team battles we ever get. That's the end of that episode. So they agreed to a plan. End of episode.
Damn, how many episodes did you go through already?
6. Well, we were doing 6. So that's 3.
Damn, those are quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of fighting those ones, especially when it's just Renji on the screen. They're not really talking a lot.
Makes sense.
Thank God.
He does feel that niche of never give up, never surrender kind of thing.
I'm just going to hit it over and over.
Yep, and it works.
Yeah. So
I mean, he made it all the way to 1,000-Year Blood War.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Uryuu asks Renji, and he says, tell me how many seconds can you stall him? And Renji's like, 20 seconds would be a generous guess. I'm sorry it can't be longer. Uryuu's like, oh, I understand. That's perfectly good. That's good enough.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Szyayelaporro tells his Fractiones to stay back and no one interfere because he's going to have this fight.
Why does he have to keep telling them this?
Because they keep kind of hopping. They were mad about the big guy. And yeah, it's the whole tag team. Then we see Pesce. He's sliding down from the hole that was made on the wall to the ground. He's mad at Uryuu for running off on his own because how is he supposed to play the goofy comedic character without a straight man?
That's true. Man knows his shit.
Pesce is now behind enemy lines, behind the backs of the Fractiones, and looks around when he sees Donde Chaka's foot sticking out of a pile of rubble.
Oh, I forgot he was with Renji.
Yeah. So Pesce kind of starts tiptoeing past all the Fractiones to go get Donde Chaka. And one of the Fractiones kind of turns around. He's like, did you guys hear that? It's the wrestling. And like, no. I was like, what do you? It's like, it could be a cockroach. And all of them start freaking out. And they all basically being sharing how they hate cockroaches. They don't want anything to do with them.
No.
That's how you beat them.
Makes it to Donde Chaka, where Donde Chaka, upon hearing Pesce coming up, just bursts out of the rubble all by himself.
Oh my God!
And starts yelling and crying about how happy he is that Pesce is here.
Now this is the real tag team fight that I've always wanted.
So of course the Fractiones are then alerted to the presence, and at that point they kind of all surround Pesce and Donde Chaka. They're just about to be grabbed when they get fucking blown away by Renji, who is spinning his Shikai above his head. which is
like a
pretty
whip.
cool.
He's just like,
yeah, he's fucking wildly spinning it.
And on the stage now, we have Renji.
So he attacks Szyayelaporro with it, and Szyayelaporro just blocks. He's like, what a fool. And then just as he blocks, Renji runs forward, like as the sword is kind of like regaling from it, or recoiling from hitting Szyayelaporro, and grabs Szyayelaporro by the collar, and then Renji wraps them both up together in his Shikai and pins the Shikai into the ground, kind of like, kind of like pinning them into the ground.
I already know that Renji's going to get killed right now.
And Renji then begins
trying to be
chanting
Piccolo?
something. And Renji says, there's no doubt there's a big difference in our strength between you and me with only my Shikai. He says, frankly, I don't think I have a chance of winning the fight, not when we're so close. But nonetheless, even if the difference in our power is great and there's no comparison in our strength, and then he starts charging a blast in his hand and says, you're going to find it pretty damn painful if you get hit point blank. He continues on, I was always pretty lousy at Kido. I would get scolded for losing control and having my spells explode. You're pretty arrogant. Let's find out who's tougher, you or me. And then he says, Hado 31, Shakaho, and then fucking explodes the Kido right in both of their faces. Szyayelaporro is the first to exit the smoke from the explosion, and he's coughing, covered in bruises, like the whole top half of his shirt's fucking gone. Renji comes out of the smoke next, and he is like knocked out, collapses to the floor.
That's my boy.
Szyayelaporro says, damn
he
you.
Harry Pottered that shit, dude.
Yeah. And just then, Uryuu is like, exactly his plan. When Renji attacked, you moved away from him to maintain the distance between you. You don't like it when the enemy gets close to you. You like to keep a clear view, right? If you are attacked, you change your stance, and you have a habit of moving just beyond the reach of the enemy.
Why didn't he shoot yet? Why is he explaining this? Just shoot.
So Uryuu goes, good defense so far. And Szyayelaporro replies, and if I do, so what? You seem to enjoy creeping up on people and attacking them when their backs are turned.
This is very toxic.
Yeah. Uryuu says, yes, that's exactly what I think. And they are, because I was like, do you think you've won, Quincy? He's like, yeah, that's what I think. And then it stabs his Seal Schneider into the ground, linking the 5 other Seal Schneiders that were made across the room, attaching to Szyayelaporro. And Szyayelaporro tries to move now, but he can't move out from the middle of this diagram on the ground.
Oh yeah, I forget he does
and that. And Szyayelaporro is stunned. He's like, impossible, your weapons. I thought I sealed away your spirit energy. And Uryuu is like, well, that just means there are things in this world that you don't know about, doesn't it?
Whoa, the
that
call
means
out.
Tite Kubo wrote something different.
Uryuu continues saying, shall I explain your situation in a manner that's easier for you to
I wanna
understand?
Do it.
I
Just
want to
do
fucking
it.
Die.
He says, está terminado. And he says, it's over, Szyayelaporro groans, and then pours a drop of liquid out of this small container
He says
as
it
it
in
hits.
Spanish?
Yeah.
Huh.
As it hits the hilt of one of the Seal Schneiders, activating the energy, blowing the fuck up out of Szyayelaporro as he just fucking screams.
Is this another move that Uryuu is never going to use again in his life?
Well, he explains later. He explains later why that's the case.
Yeah.
So Pesce, after the fight, like Uryuu walks away, Pesce asks what that technique was.
Oh, cool.
And of course, Uryuu is happy to oblige in this long explanation
Well,
here.
let me tell
Where's
you.
the whiteboard?
It's called a spring, I believe is what he's called. It destroys everything within the pentagram that I drew with a combination of Ginto and the Seal Schneider. Seal Schneider has the ability to store reishi in its hilt. It absorbs reishi that is released by an enemy in a fight. I can use that reishi to temporarily reform the blade's edge. I use it to draw a Quincy Zyken. Then by adding a drop of compressed spirit energy from my Gento, I can create a giant explosion within the pentagram. Deep breath, everybody. It's powerful, but it's difficult to use because casting it takes a long time. I can't use it in a one-on-one battle, and it can't be done without the help from someone you trust.
Oh, really? That's what we're tossing in at the very end?
Friendship.
So Renji chuckles on the ground, and he says, flatter me all you like. I'm not listening to a single word. Then we hear, damn you, come from the smoke, and we see a shirtless Szyayelaporro,
Hot.
all bruised up and panting, come out from the smoke. Uryuu says, you survived our attack? How is it possible that you're still standing up?
Not the main character?
Yeah. And Szyayelaporro's like, yes, of course, I told you. I'm one step ahead of you. I've analyzed every detail, every aspect of your spiritual pressure. Even if I've never seen the attack and the technique is new to me, it's still your particular spirit reishi. I can disperse the impact and reduce the damage. And they keep repeating. He kind of keeps repeating like damage. Damage, like he's pissed. Like he's like pissed off that he took damage. He then grabs one of the fat Alice in Wonderland Arankar and like compresses him into like a purple orb and begins to eat it, thus completely healing all of the fucking wounds he's taken the whole fight.
This is going to be such... I already know this got shipped the moment this episode came out. It was Uryuu and Szyayelaporro.
Yeah. So, and a side note that's not really important to anything, but it's kind of sad because if you remember, there's 2 of the Alice in Wonderland ones.
No! Yeah.
So the one
Tweedledee,
is like
Tweedledum.
sad that he just ate the other fat Arankar, and he
My
keeps saying his name,
brother.
calls out Lumina, which is the name of the other one that just got eaten. And Szyayelaporro just tells him like, shut up, I'll create a new one later. And like the thing is really sad. It was like... But Szyayelaporro goes on to explain.
Another.
Yeah. He's like, all 8 of my fractione are living medicine designed to help me heal. When I'm injured, I can recover by eating one. That's why they exist. Szyayelaporro goes to walk away, and Uryuu says, where are you going? Like, Szyayelaporro's just going to leave. He goes, I'm going to change my clothes. He's like, do you expect me to fight in this ragged attire? Uryuu tells him to wait, but Szyayelaporro cuts him off and says, think about it. I have to change because you tore my clothes to shred. I want you to wait in this very spot and do so quietly. Do your best to organize those very tiny brains of yours. Concentrate very hard and see what your inferior intellects are capable of. Perhaps you can find a more viable plan while I'm changing. You can be sure I'll be considering the myriad grotesque ways to kill you. And then we cut away.
That's a good point. That's a solid strategy.
It is like dude, I'm giving you rest time. Like, what? Why do you want to fight?
Doing it. You should be doing it. Just,
Everybody, come on. Let's just take a break.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So we cut away. We now see lifeless Ichigo laying on the ground, and we start to hear Ichigo as Nell crawls from above him.
Is she puking on him?
Well, she's kind of like up on another piece of rubble, and she finally now sees that he's dead, and then begins to cry and falls off her rubble, kind of like crawling towards him.
Oh, no.
And she continues to call out for Ichigo. And she reaches out to him, and then a foot stomps in front of her. And he looks, and the mysterious foot says, beat it, kid. And Nell looks up, says, it's really you, Master Grimmjow Jagger-Jackson, spotted number 6.
What the fuck?
She calls him Master?
Yeah. Grimmjow, that's probably her saying, like, sensei or something like that. Or,
like senpai.
Or, yeah. Grimmjow turns to Ichigo and walks towards him and kicks his body across the room, making him roll over so he can now see the hole in his chest. Grimmjow says, I figured things would be like this, and then throws Orihime towards Ichigo, who he was like hiding under some cloth.
Yeah, I remember
and she's chained up as well. Grimmjow sits down and says, you know what to do. You know why I brought you here. Now heal. We cut back to Orihime's cell, where the 2 girls, Arankars, are still there, and they begin hearing footsteps immediately approach the cell, and immediately they like begin trembling, like, oh fuck.
He back.
We see Ulquiorra in the room, and he says, what's the meaning of this? And
no.
We cut back to Orihime, hearing she's kind of healing while Nell is crying, explaining the situation, how it's all her fault that Ichigo got hurt, and to please save him.
I told you.
Grimmjow tells her to stop crying or she'll be picking up her teeth off the ground.
He's not going to kill her. He's just going to rip her teeth out.
Don't you think it's weird? I feel like Grimmjow knew Nell. Like, they had to have known each other.
Yeah, I think that's weird, too.
They make it seem like it, right?
I feel like they explain that
in
like when we find out what happened to Nell. I think that gets brought up. But it is weird because they should all know now.
Because I get, like, I've never seen you as a kid, and I wouldn't be like, oh, that's Sam, you know? But I feel like seeing you as a kid, I was like,
Noatra knows her. Hannibal should probably know her.
And, like, she has the same headpiece.
Yeah.
Which is unique.
It's slightly different.
But it's like you can see it, and you're like, oh, like, yeah.
And green hair.
Yeah, like, that's
like,
you.
Yeah.
The little red thing
She got the same clothing attire, like, stuff, too. Like, yeah, that's you. Okay, thanks. So, yeah, I don't know. That is a weird plot that I don't remember.
Or Grimmjow just could have been a dick the whole time, didn't care.
Yeah.
Seems like him.
Yeah, it's in character.
So Orihime is healing Ichigo's wounds and thinks that there's an incredible amount of spirit energy swirling around Ichigo's wounds, and she can't reject it. She says, I don't understand who would do such a thing. And Grimmjow cuts her off, even though she's thinking this, and goes, it was Ulquiorra. And then we go back to Ulquiorra.
He can read minds.
He asks, who did this? The girls immediately snitch Grimmjow out.
Fucking hooers.
Grimmjow continues saying that he's got a style of fighting that is his and his alone. It's very particular to him, like a signature, but I doubt he's aware of it. When he finds prey that catches his eye, he stabs them in the same spot where his own hole is. And he goes, I'm going to teach him something about the nature of punishment for taking someone else's prey.
Isn't his like right here?
Yeah.
It's like right here.
I heard that it was like upper here. Like
it was supposed to be like
and
right
then
here.
it got moved down at one point, and they just never talked about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's right. It was
I've been
supposed to be
watching
right
or
here.
reading Wikipedia articles and stuff because I wanted to like see images, and I saw that part. I was like, oh, weird.
So just then, Ichigo's fingers kind of begin to twitch. He looks up, saying, "Oh, Nell, Orihime." Grimmjow stomps down and says, "Shut your mouth, girl. If you have time to make a fuss, just heal him already." At that point, Ichigo asks why he is with Orihime. He replies saying that when you're completely healed, I'm going to be the one. We're going to do a one-on-one Soul Reaper.
1v1.
Orihime is like stunned. She's like, that can't be true. Is that the only reason you want him healed? And then he just cuts her off saying, quit your complaining. If it wasn't for me letting you save his life, he'd be dead now. Get to work. And he goes, hurry. Ulquiorra will catch on what's going to happen sooner or later and come back. And before he does, just then Grimmjow senses something and turns around to see Ulquiorra.
Yeah.
He said...
Oh,
and that's the end of that episode, which I don't remember this part at all. I know we mentioned it last episode. I don't remember Ulquiorra coming back at all.
Yeah.
I don't remember him leaving.
Yeah.
That was my thing.
He leaves and comes back. Yeah. So, like, imagine you just did a job, you go all the way back home, then like, oh, fuck.
God damn it, I left my keys at home.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
Because,
I've done that before, though.
I know what's going to happen. I agree with Jose. I swore that Ulquiorra was fighting Ichigo, and then by surprise, Grimmjow's like, psych, bitch.
So he goes all the way back.
I'd be so pissed.
So, and then unfortunately, for the quick start of this next episode, we pick up with Renji and Uryuu.
Oh, fuck.
And it's very quick. They're confirming that they can't feel Szyayelaporro's spiritual pressure now that he left.
He's behind 4 doors.
And they both agree to just leave. They're like, hey, we should not stay here. We should leave. And they're like, yep, sounds good.
Are they the new Pesha and Dada
Yup. We go back to Grimmjow gang at that point. And Ulquiorra asks Grimmjow what he is doing. Why are you healing an enemy I already defeated? And Grimmjow just kind of smirks. And we get this weird bit of a stare down between Ulquiorra and Orihime.
He's like, you're
like, it cuts back. Like,
she's like, I'm sorry,
Orihime, Ulquiorra. And then Orihime gets like more and more nervous every time it cuts back. And Ulquiorra says, fine, have it your way. Regardless, the bottom line is Lord Aizen entrusted that girl to my care, hand her over. Which makes me think he just wanted Orihime.
Yeah, I don't think he would have.
So I think he would have been fine if Orihime stopped healing right there and went back. It was like, he'd be like, fine, have your fight later. So I'm taking Orihime back.
Yeah, Grimmjow would not. He would still grab on Orihime. He's like, no, he's not done yet.
There's a priority list on the Ulquiorra chain. And
so like Ulquiorra was literally like, hey, I just want Orihime. You could have your dumbass fight. But then Grimmjow is like, yeah, no, and then goes to attack Ulquiorra.
Nope.
Well, like if you think about it, Ulquiorra murdered Ichigo, who's the strongest in the group, not according to Peshe's chart.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
He hasn't done a resurrection. He hasn't done the Segundo Etapa. Like, he's like, if he comes back and he's like, Lord, fuck it. I just need Orihime.
It's like, sure, have your dumbass fight. I'll finish him again later.
Yeah,
whatever.
We got 3 others to do this shit, he thinks. Oh, my God.
So Grimmjow attacks Ulquiorra, who just blocks with the back of his hand. And Grimmjow says, I know what's going on. You're scared of fighting me. You're scared of being crushed. And then Saros Ulquiorra, which Ulquiorra just deflects. No problem. But then Grimmjow appears above him. Ulquiorra deflects it, then appears above Grimmjow, trying to hit him with the finger laser move again. But Grimmjow kind of catches it with his hand and causes a huge explosion with smoke going everywhere, kind of crumbling the whole top of the red tower. Ulquiorra looks around from the smoke, and then we see Grimmjow's hand appear out from the smoke and reaches towards his shirt and then puts a purple cube into Ulquiorra's chest. And then purple lines begin to cover up Ulquiorra everywhere as he says, damn it, and then disappears.
He's like, fuck.
What if that was the end of Ulquiorra? I would have been so
that
sad.
Would be
they make it seem like it could have been. So Orihime asks what he just did, and Grimmjow says Aizen gave each one of the Espada something called the Caja de Negacion.
So box of negation.
Yeah, which we can use to punish subordinates. I used mine just now. It's a powerful tool that can permanently seal away the victim into another dimension.
I almost can guarantee you, I think he's the only one to have ever used it.
Yeah, everyone's just like.
He continues on saying, but his power is limited. It's not made to be used against an Espada.
That's right.
Considering the strength of his spiritual pressure, we've got 2 or 3 hours before he breaks free, and then tells Orihime to hurry the fuck up.
That's a long time for a fight.
I feel like Ulquiorra would have just been like, okay, so we're just going to sit here till the fucking timer goes off.
Motherfucker.
Oh.
So at this point, Orihime is refusing to continue healing Ichigo, but Grimmjow grabs her by the fucking neck and says, hurry up, but then she refuses again, saying if she heals them, he will just hurt Ichigo again. Grimmjow gets pissed, kind of squeezing her neck some more. Then all of a sudden, a hand grabs Grimmjow's arm, and it's Ichigo. He's now up and at him. He takes Grimmjow's hand off Orihime and asks her to please heal him. And then he continues on saying, as well
so exciting.
as heal his, and then we see Grimmjow's right arm is all burnt to shit from catching Ulquiorra's blast earlier. Grimmjow warns him against it, saying that's not a smart idea. But Ichigo says, I assume you want us to fight at full strength, don't you? Or do you plan to use your injuries as an excuse when you lose?
Oh.
Which pisses off Grimmjow as they clash blades, and Grimmjow says, fine, let's have a battle to the death. So we immediately cut to them fully healed. Nice. We're not wasting any time on that.
We're getting 2 ships in this 6 episodes. We're getting Szyayelaporro and Uryuu, and it could also be...
there's that artist that Sam follows on Twitter who just posts nothing but...
I can't give them a shout out because I don't remember their title, but if you look on Twitter, you'll see it. So.
There you go.
We cut to them completely fully healed. Ichigo says, let's take this battle somewhere else, Grimmjow, which is like a classic Dragon Ball Z thing. But they literally just jump one red pillar over. Like, yep. Whoop,
makes sense.
Hey, we moved. Ichigo goes Bankai without actually saying Bankai at this point, which I thought was interesting.
He can do it without his voice.
So the fight begins. Nell is really scared and crying for Ichigo, but Orihime reassures her, saying it's going to be okay. We get a long speech from Orihime here. She says, God. Ichigo would never say he's going to win because he's afraid. And he would say it. He would never say it to try to fool himself. He's a very focused person. Whenever he tells you something this important, he says it like he's swearing an oath.
He's 17.
16, I think.
She continues on. He did that when he appeared before me as a Soul Reaper the first time. The same thing happened when he went to the Soul Society to save Rukia. He's always been like that. He does it to reassure us. But more than that, he's making a promise to himself. He makes a promise to himself, and then he recites it out loud so it will become a reality. And she continues saying, if Ichigo says he's going to win, you can believe that is precisely what he will do. So remember this combative Orihime attitude at this part, okay?
I know exactly what you're setting me up for.
It does not last very long.
Nope.
At that point, they're fighting. We see Ichigo get Sero'd right in the fucking face, and Grimmjow's laughing. He says he's waited a long time to fight you at full strength, Ichigo Kurosaki. Ichigo says, I didn't come here to fight you. Grimmjow refuses to believe this, saying, now I'll get my revenge. You'll understand why I kept that scar on my chest, and that reminds me of
other
humiliation.
than the manliness?
Yeah.
Chad.
So Grimmjow grabs his sword and says, after all of this, you still don't look like you want to kill me. You're pathetic. And they begin to fight some more. Grimmjow says, I have a question for you. Why did you bother coming here in the first place? Ichigo's like, are you an idiot? I came here to save Orihime. And Grimmjow's like, really? Then why didn't you just grab the girl and run the moment you saw her?
Mm-hmm.
He says, tell me, were you relieved to see that she was unhurt, or at least appear to be on the surface? Were you born naive, or did you grow up that way?
He doesn't care about her. He cares about the man.
This pisses off Ichigo, and he says, you bastards, what did you do to Orihime? Because they think they did some sort of subconscious psychological thing to her. Grimmjow says, you said you didn't come here to save the girl, right? Well, let me enlighten you since you don't get it. The only reason you came here is to fight. Are you even aware that the path your instincts led you? You're a Soul Reaper. I'm a Hollow. The loser of this battle will be slaughtered. It's been that way for over 1,000 years. That's all the reason you need to fight. Last one standing gets to live. And then they begin fighting some more.
God, this is so hot.
Seriously, it's pillow talk. Ichigo, Getsugas, and Grimmjow Seros, and they kind of clash midair, but ultimately the Sero wins out through the Getsuga.
No.
Wow.
Grimmjow appears above him, and Ichigo turns around, and at that point, Grimmjow slashes him across the chest. Grimmjow lands on the ground now. Before Ichigo, after doing that, stabs his blade into the ground, says, you've got a nice murderous look in your eyes now after you've been fucking stabbed. Then continues on saying, but it's not good enough, and then slides his 2 fingers like down his blade, cutting himself, and says, you're not at the level yet where I want this battle to take place. Then starts charging a blue beam, saying this is the ultimate Sero, one which only the Espada can use. Ichigo is still falling, seeing him charge up this move, and he kind of like looks behind him in the path of the blast and sees that Orihime and Nell is right behind it. Oh. So he calls out to Grimmjow saying like, hold on, don't release it, because like it's going to hit them if it misses Ichigo. Grimmjow says Grand Ray Sero and fires it at Ichigo. It hits him, smoke flies everywhere, and standing in the clearing of the smoke, we now see Ichigo wearing his hollow mask, staring Grimmjow down, and that's the end of that episode.
So he can eat an Ulquiorra
mini beam
with a
thing,
mask.
Yeah.
And it fucking shatters, but we get a Grand Ray Sero.
With the Ulquiorra one, he specifically said that he can't use it for very long, and so he had already fought with it, and it cracked off at the end of the fight. Like he went full power. So then you had to do like pull whatever power he could to just block the Ulquiorra one. Yeah. This one he's starting at it from clean after being fully healed. Like
that's true. He's got full stamina.
So at the start of this episode, we kind of cut from Orihime looking at the back of Ichigo's head. And then he goes like, Orihime, Ichigo. Oh. Finally, Ichigo apologizes, saying, this frightens you, doesn't it? Orihime kind of nods, and Ichigo says, I know it's pointless telling you when I look like this, but there's nothing to worry about. I'll finish this quickly. Grimmjow laughs, saying it's about time. Now we can get down to business. Puts his hand on his sword, grind Pantera, and then like a fucking tornado starts to form around Grimmjow.
We should have just heard Pantera's heavy riff.
Walk starts playing.
So Ichigo tells Orihime to use Satsun Kashu to protect her and Nell, and don't take it down until it's over. Then we finally get to see Grimmjow's release form as he screams and generates a fucking shockwave just from screaming.
See? The metal.
And he jumps up towards Ichigo and fucking domes him. And then continues to jump around beating Ichigo's ass. Grimmjow comments...
fast.
Yeah, he's so fast. Grimmjow comments at one point how he hates seeing those damn eyes, and that's why he has to die.
That's right.
Then we zoom out and we hear a woman talking about how Grimmjow has distorted the atmosphere above Las Noches. Another one comments... You would think he would know better than to use a Gran Rey Sero inside of Las Noches. Then we see it's Halibal and her crew watching from afar. Halibal tells her people to try to relax. This battle is being fought by an Espada in his Resurrection form. So your fear is understandable, but it is primordial fear. Relish it. Then she thinks, and she kind of thinks herself at this point, which I thought was interesting. She says, the question is the person he is fighting really human? It's hard to believe that any human can possess spirit energy as darkly powerful as this. It's almost as if I'm watching a battle between two Espada.
Oh, so hot.
Yeah.
Well, Ichigo is Vassal Lord.
Yeah. It was good foreshadowing. Grimmjow slams Ichigo into one of the pillars and says, I see you've increased the amount of time you can sustain that mask. Have you been training since then, or have you just been ignorantly gaining experience in the battles you've had since the last time we fought? Which true and true.
Tite Kubo hates himself.
He's just like, I'm Grimmjow right now. I fucking hate my main character.
So he goes to puncture Ichigo, who catches it with his hand. And he says, so you're worried that about this fight being boring. Well, let me spice it up for you then. Then releases his spiritual pressure and slashes Grimmjow across the chest. Ichigo says, you know what I think would be boring? If you weren't in your release form, so try to keep it that way, will ya? And then they begin to fight. This time, well, Ichigo is actually holding his ground now. Just out of nowhere, he's decided that he'll actually fight. The animation, by the way, in this fight, pretty good. I do think it is pretty good. It's still like where I'm watching
old school enough.
So I think there are Blu-ray releases of most of Bleach at this point. I think they're at least in the Huecamundo arc because I see them pimping it out to buy all the time. But on Hulu, it's still like 4x3, which kind of sucks. I don't know if it's ever going to change, but that sucks.
That hurts in my soul.
Yeah.
I wish we could just get a remastered version of Bleach.
I feel like from memory, it changes at the Ulquiorra fight, but I'm not 100% on that.
That's grand.
Yeah, I think it does change a bit. Yeah.
I think that's
a changing point.
So Grimmjow hits Ichigo as he recovers, sliding on the side of one of the pillars. So he's doing like a Naruto, fighting on the side of the wall. But then Grimmjow on the ground pulls out his elbow and says to eat this. I don't remember this move at fucking all. He fires like 5 like porcupine things out of his elbow. And Ichigo easily dodges them. But once again, right as he dodges, he turns and sees that they're going right towards Orihime and Nell.
Dude, Grimmjow's a dick.
So he teleports over.
Any way you can.
He teleports in between Nell and Orihime and the things coming at them, and they all let it hit his back.
Oh, that's right. He
fucking
takes
eats
the
him.
hit, yeah.
Orihime sees Ichigo's face and looks all scared once again. And
blood
Ichigo
comes out
says
through
it's
his mask.
okay. There's nothing that he's like, this is nothing. As he stands there fucking panting, Orihime starts to see the image like her brother as a hollow like appear over him, and she's freaking out.
Right.
Yeah. That's why she hates him wearing the mask.
Yeah. Ichigo returns to battle now, completely fucking like panting, tired from the damage. Grimmjow shoots another one out of his elbow, and this time he sends it away from Ichigo and tells Ichigo to drop the tough guy act as the porcupine thing like hits one of the big red pillars, absolutely crushing it. And Grimmjow's like, I hit you with 5 of those. Your mask must be at its limit. And then we see Ichigo's mask crack a little bit. Ichigo says, not even close, and fixes it, summoning back. Grimmjow smirks, and then part of his resurrection like kind of cracks.
The top part cracks, right? Yeah.
And Ichigo says, you aren't looking too well yourself. And then they begin to fight again. We get some kind of exposition from Orihime here as to why she is scared of Ichigo. She says, those eyes are like someone else's. So it's the eyes again. Everybody hates the eyes.
It's the black and yellow eyes they get to everybody.
When Ichigo looks at her with those eyes, it's like he doesn't even see her. Which, fucking...
That's a lie, dude. I mean...
He is using this power to save you, and you're going to be a fucking bitch about it. Like, what? It's so dumb. It's like the whole thing is so dumb.
She's probably thinking as a friend, like, this is really... Because she's never seen him like this. She's like, this is really weird. Normally he, like, looks right at me, and now it's all of a sudden he's, like, looking through me. Do
you want him to win or not?
He looks at her with bedroom eyes sometimes and not right now.
When she didn't want to heal him, it's like, well, he's dead. It's like, at least he has a fighting chance if you heal him and let him take round 2.
But then she's going to have to watch him get murdered in front of her.
Oh, sorry, you didn't have to watch it the first time. Lucky you, or he.
I mean, she's going to watch it again.
Jesus Christ.
Jeez.
I think there's just a lot of like humanizing that we don't understand because it's an anime. That's all I'm saying.
So
back to you.
She's moping, being a cunt, and Nell thinks about all the times that Ichigo has worn his hollow mask so far that she's been with him versus Dordoni versus Ulquiorra. And she said that in those fights, whenever she saw Ichigo don the mask, there was no doubt in her mind that he was going to win. But now he's losing. Then Nell, being once again a little kid, snaps out of it and is like, no. It's like, and then starts cheering for Ichigo.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
how
you
it should
can
be.
do it, Ichigo. And then it turns to Orihime, who's just standing there like a cunt.
Okay.
And she says, what are you doing just standing there? You need to cheer for him too. And then she goes, that's the best you can do. He's risking his life for you, and this is all you can say is, huh? And she continues on saying, why are you so afraid of him? Do you think he's some kind of monster? You know that he has a kind heart. You said so yourself. It's as plain as day. Even Nell can see. And Ichigo cares about you too. He cares so much that when he heard your name, he attacked Ulquiorra with everything he had. She continues on, saying, just in case Orihime didn't get that, I know he's a Soul Reaper now, but don't forget that Ichigo is still human. Think about what he's gone through. Every time he uses the mask, he exposes himself to that insane power. He has to be suffering, but he does it for you, so he doesn't care. He uses the power and endures all the pain and suffering for you. How will he feel? How will he feel when he doesn't even hear your voice cheering him on?
Okay,
Fuck you, Orihime.
Get wrecked.
Yeah.
Orihime bad girlfriend? What?
Yeah. There was this is terrible pre Ulquiorra secondary fight.
Yeah.
Because this is just like, oh yeah, he's gonna be fine. Nope.
Nope.
So Orihime is kind of like side-eyeing the fight at this point, like while she's saying this, like looking over the fight, which fucking bitch. And Orihime thinks back, saying, "That's right. The reason I came here was to protect everyone. I was ready to sacrifice everything. But when I heard that Ichigo and everyone else came here to save me, somewhere deep in my heart, I felt such happiness. But then I saw Ichigo wearing his mask and those eyes. They looked like my brother's eyes that night.
Dude, his eyes were red.
I seriously. I thought that maybe he didn't come to save me after all. I was wrong. All my fears, they mean nothing anymore. I'm not afraid of Ichigo. I'm only afraid that Ichigo will... ...
I remember this arc. I think it was this fight scene into the Ulquiorra secondary fight where we started openly saying we hate Orihime.
yeah.
Like it was.
She was just being annoying.
I don't think I read it or I didn't watch it yet,
Yeah.
but I remember you guys hanging out, and I just remember saying, "Fuck that bitch!" Oh my god!
I can remember for the first time seeing it. It's like
Consistency is key over the years.
Jesus. So the whole time this is going on, by the way, Grimmjow is just kicking the shit out of Ichigo.
Oh.
He gets down to about half mask at this point, and then gets swamped some more. It goes down to about 1/3 of his mask at this point.
So sick.
Finally, Orihime says, "Please don't die," and then screams out, "Don't die, Ichigo!" Ichigo pauses and
Would
looks
you
towards
say,
her.
Sam, this is equivalent to Nico Robin screaming she wants to live?
No, not even close. That moment was way better than this moment. Fuck Orihime, dude. Oh my god. So Orihime starts to cry, and she says, "You don't have to win, and you don't have to fight for me. Just don't get hurt. I couldn't bear it." And snap cut to that of Grimmjow now charging him, yelling Kurosaki. Without even looking, Ichigo turns around, catches his hand, or he doesn't turn around without even looking, just catches his hand. Turns, he's now smiling and says, "So Grimmjow, here's the deal. You see, I've had a change of heart, and I can't allow myself to be beaten by someone like you." And then slashes Grimmjow right across the fucking chest.
You know what was stupid? That's where it ends, right?
Yeah, that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, I remember that's where the manga ended too. And I'm like, I was so pissed. I was
Yeah.
like,
Dude, he
shit.
fucked on Grimmjow.
So last episode we're
bullshit.
doing Bleach episode number 167.
Nice.
Ichigo panting. Grimmjow starts to fall. Ichigo thinks it's over, but just as Grimmjow kind of kneels and falls to the ground, Grimmjow grabs his blade, like Ichigo's blade, and says, "You fool, I'm still here. You think you've won? You think you've beaten me? I'll scatter your bones to the sand." Backstory time. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
that's right.
So I don't know if you remember the Arrancar Cao Feng. Anybody?
Yes.
I don't even think he was an Arrancar. You would think he was in a Huchas.
He was in a
He's the
Hucha,
one
yeah.
with, like, the hat?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Cao Feng is narrating this part, and he says there's no such thing as an individual Gillian. Gillians are the lowest class of Menos. It's believed that they are created when hundreds of hollows come together, but that's not actually the case.
Oh.
Hollows consume human souls, but why is that necessary? They do it to satisfy a hunger caused by the emptiness inside them. But each hollow is unique.
Hurting.
There are certain hollows that are more ravenous than others, and they begin to crave the souls of their own kind. Those hollows are drawn by a mutual desire, a desire to consume each other. Eventually, they meld together, losing all sense of individuality. They become Gillians, mindless, massive things with enormous spirit energy. But there are times when the personality of one hollow will transcend the group of hollows in the Gillian and come to dominate the entire creature. It consumes other Gillians and grows stronger and eventually becomes an Ahucha. But Ahuchas fall prey to an even greater fear, which I don't remember this part at all. The fear of regression.
Yep.
Unless
I
it
do
continues
remember
to
this.
consume hollows, and Ahuchas will regress and become a Gillian again. Those that regress inevitably lose their individuality and never again can become Ahuchas.
That'd be the worst thing ever.
So we see someone come up behind the Ahucha version of Grimmjow, who's like the panther, and says, "You're kind of small for an Ahucha. Sorry, but I'm going to have to eat you." We see that there's actually like a gang of Ahucha there, which some of them are actually Arrancars. Because the one is like in the form of the bull guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't make sense because we'll get to that point later. Grimmjow attacks one of them and just takes like a fucking chunk out of him instantly.
Yeah, he like rips a part of him off.
One of them comes forward saying, "You're strong. What's your name, Ahucha?" Grimmjow, of course. He says, "I'm Xiaolong," the guy narrating the story.
Yeah.
Join us, Grimmjow. You will not go unrewarded. The others teleport around Grimmjow, surrounding him. Shyalong continues saying, we do not want to live our lives as Gillians or Adahuchas. One day we would rise to become Vasto Lordes, but to do that we need power, an immense power that can guide us. You are that power. Come with us. Let us walk together. You will become our king, Grimmjow.
I remember this.
Yep.
We see Grimmjow in the present. He's now stabbed Ichigo right in the stomach with his hand. The two jump away from each other, kind of staring each other down. Grimmjow comments saying, those eyes, they keep mocking me. No matter how bad I beat you down, deep down inside you always think you can beat me. You always believe you're superior to me. I can't stand that. Then attacks Ichigo some more. Ichigo smiles and says, what is it you can't stand? Are you upset that a lowly human like me would have the nerve to treat you as an equal?
Aww.
Oh,
which is kind of a nice thing to say.
Yeah, that's
Such a nice
thing to
shit.
say
Yeah.
before you kill someone.
So Grimmjow says that has nothing to do with it. It doesn't matter who you are. Anyone who looks down on me will be crushed. As for you, Ichigo, you're going to be the first to go. As he teleports behind Ichigo, his nails begin to glow blue, and he slices downward, creating the classic kind of blue claw marks in the sky. He says, Descaron. It's my ultimate
Scratch.
technique.
It's like a type of scratch. Yeah.
Is that what it means?
Yeah. It's
okay.
like a type of laceration, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
That's I feel like the Spanish word's way cooler.
Yeah.
So we go back to flashback here, and Shyalong says, he says, I said we are giving up, Grimmjow. Do you realize how much time has passed since we began traveling? One of the other Uruchas at this point says, now we realize that we'll never become Vasto Lordes. Another one chimes in saying, since eating our 1,000th hollow, we no longer feel our powers increasing. Today's meal marks number 3,000. 3,000 more won't make any difference. Grimmjow scoffs, kind of saying, you're crazy. If you want to give up, you're all free to go die in a ditch somewhere. I'm moving. And then he goes to leave. Shyalong says, very well, Grimmjow, but if that's your decision, consume us first. Even if a portion of our bodies is consumed by a hollow, our evolution stops. D-Roy, the person he took the fucking chunk out of at the beginning, never can become a Vasto Lorde now.
Because he got wrecked.
So he says, we know that our evolution ends here. Grimmjow calls them a bunch of cowards. Shyalong continues saying they've come to realization that there are those who can become Vasto Lordes and some that cannot. Some are not destined to rise beyond the Adhucha state. From the moment we became hollows, we were destined to become Adhuchas. But you were destined to become something much greater. Eat us, Grimmjow. We go back to the present. Grimmjow is launching his Descaron at Ichigo. Ichigo blocks and gets sent fucking flying backwards. We cut back to the past where once again we see Grimmjow and he's munching on a body at this point.
Yeah.
He says, fine, if that's what you want, I'll eat you all. Become my flesh and blood, see what lies ahead. I am the king, which is the part that throws me off because I'm pretty sure the bull Arrancar was there. I'm pretty sure he was part of the group.
Yeah, I thought so too.
So I don't know if he just doesn't eat that guy.
Maybe that guy took off.
And like, did Shyalong survive? Like, he's narrating the story. Does he show up later? Is he the guy that gives all the orders that makes all the people?
So I always thought when you became a Vasto Lorde, your fractions were actually fractions of yourself, not what Szyayelaporro said.
Yeah.
But I feel
Which,
like,
that could be true, and Szyayelaporro could be bullshitting. Like, we don't know.
I feel like for Grimmjow, because he brought a lot of those people that were at Hoochas in that, I thought.
Yeah, right? Like,
I don't know. He doesn't say.
He takes some of them to the real world, and
When
that's
he
where
went
they
to
get
the real
dunked
world,
on.
I'll tell you right now, we're going into fillers after this, so it's not going to...
doesn't matter.
No.
Oh, you're talking about in the real world? He did bring them with him.
Yeah, so I thought those were his fractions, and he like...
Oh,
yeah,
they
pretty sure
totally
they
are.
are.
Yeah.
They told.
He
So
has a lot
he
of
didn't
them.
eat them then.
He
did he just eat D-Roy?
He consumed
I think
them
he
all.
just-
I don't know.
he just ate
D-Roy
D-Roy.
made it. Probably
I don't
D-Roy.
Yeah, he's like, sorry, you tasted pretty good, bud.
That was so Josh was so comment. Yeah, I don't know. I was like, oh, D-Roy though. I don't know. Poor D-Roy, dude.
I don't think they thought that one through. They just put D-Roy in there.
Sucks
like,
to
yeah, he got
suck,
dick.
mate.
Because he's definitely like legit eating them
Yeah.
at one point. So you're thinking that he ate them and then they came back somehow?
Like when he became a Vasto Lorde, he probably was like, "They're my people." Aizen, like.
So I wonder if Aizen maybe explains that later.
I don't think
I
they
don't know
ever
if they
explain it.
do.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Because he definitely is eating one of them for sure.
It's D-Roy.
So that's why Szyayelaporro like confused the fuck out of me because
Yeah.
I forgot his entire fight.
Yeah.
So I always thought, oh, whoever you ate, those are yours. Those are fractions. And like you could choose who you want to come back.
I feel like that's not the case because, like,
Not
I don't know.
Like I don't think they don't.
It
do
would
anything
make
you
like
both
sense,
have a
though.
better memory
Yeah.
than you, so I default to you guys.
But it does
you
make
guys.
sense what Josh is trying to say, though, because it's like then he would. split a little
Szyayelaporro
bit
said
of himself.
no, but I think he also did say that he did say his fractionary are special
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
so-
he fucked with them. Remember?
because obviously he has 8, which is special, and
Yeah.
he had them before and he had them turn into Arancars.
We're
So it is
also-
special that Szyayelaporro is a fringe case of that not being the case.
Yeah.
We're also forgetting that Aizen exists, and he could probably
Yeah, he
just
can literally
say,
do anything.
Yeah, he's just like,
So-
hey, I ate some really cool dudes. D-Roy's a little prick, though. Can we get the other guys back?
Yeah.
He's like,
It's
hey,
like,
I took some shits back
It's
there.
like, hey,
I
had
really
a
like
crew
them.
I traveled with. Can you bring them all back? Oh
But-
yeah, I have a 7 here that I'm seeing. Yeah, we'll make it 6. Don't bring back D-Roy.
D-Roy.
Yeah, D-Roy.
See, so they went with
He
that.
gave me a stomach ache.
They went with that constant reoccurrence of like whatever your number was, that was how many fractions you had too. So it's 6 for
Well,
Grimmjow.
Szyayelaporro's 9.
He's 8.
Is he 8?
I'm not fucking. Oh yeah, he's
Yeah,
8.
yeah,
He
he's
said
8,
it earlier.
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess go
But-
back and find it, but I think it is 8.
But what was I?
No,
gonna
yeah, he's 8.
The bull dude is Szyayelaporro's like half brother. They're our twin brother,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
What
yeah.
which
the
is
hell?
even fucking weirder to me.
It's all fucked. You're right.
So I know stuff from a light novel that would make this whole thing even weirder because I don't think it works.
Okay.
One step at a
I'm
time.
not gonna say. I'm not gonna say. It makes it weird in my head.
Yeah, that's fucking weird. Okay. So we see him eating the people. We go back to reality where Ichigo is now taking his sword and begins to grind it through one of the beams that are coming
yeah.
at him. And it kind of causes it to come to a halt and then shatters with a nice glass sound effect. And Ichigo says, I got news for you. You're not the only one who wants to win. You want to kill me because of how I look at you want to kill me because of how I look at you? Well, I know how you feel. And then we cue the Ichigo music. Not the vocal ones.
Oh,
Just the which I feel like they don't really do the vocal ones at all.
They stopped doing it later on.
Yeah.
oh wow.
He jumps towards, which makes me wonder if there's some sort of copyright issue in the background. Because
I mean,
Soul Society arc, Bount arc, they do it a lot. Like it's the vocal. This one, I feel like they don't do the vocals. They just do the backing.
Weird.
they might, but
I heard the chanty one where it's like an opera kind of thing or whatever you want to call it.
That's probably from a movie.
yeah.
Oh, but I heard the fucking lyrics from it. It's like, oh wait, this is in English.
They have one with like a guy rapper too that like comes
Yeah.
over it as well.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, yeah.
That's dope.
So he jumps towards Grimmjow, saying, you were right before when you said that I came here because I wanted to fight. Then sticks his blade inside one of the beams again and says, the real reason I came here was to defeat you. And Ichigo is kind of now flying towards him, slashing through the beam, which I still think is the dumbest fucking way this fight could have been. I still fucking hate that to this day.
The what?
The way the fight ends.
Spoiler, what we're going to get to later. He literally rides the beam all the way while
up.
slashing it. Like his sword is in it, and he's just like,
Oh, you don't create a doorway and go through.
no,
it real
he
quick?
just fucking slides, like rides the beam all the way underneath it, slashing it the whole way up. It's stupid. He continues on saying, so I'm going to destroy you and Ulquiorra, and I'm going to defeat Aizen, which is a bold claim.
I mean, he doesn't do it.
And then he continues on, and then I'm going to take Rukia. We see pictures of Rukia. And Chad, we see pictures of Chad.
Is Chad dead on the floor?
He's
face
in
down.
a alive state. And he's still gliding up at this point. And Uryuu and Renji, I'm going to take Orihime, still gliding.
Does he mention Nell?
No, he does not, which is bullshit. And he's now down to just one eye covered by his mask.
Yeah.
He continues on saying, all of my friends, and bring them home safe with me. I won't lose to you. And then Ichigo finally reaches Grimmjow and fucking stabs him as the beams shatter with the nice glass sound effects once again.
I love that you're pointing this out.
Because those glass effects were really
It's nice.
But I would have died if while Ichigo was doing this, like it would have been like anti-nice happy ending where everyone's just knocked the fuck out
Yeah.
on the floor.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna get it. Chad dead on the floor. Everybody. Oh, I would have loved that.
So we see blood splurt out, and we see that Ichigo has stabbed Grimmjow in the chest. Grimmjow says, damn you, and Ichigo pulls out his sword as Grimmjow begins to fall. Quick flashback to Adhucha form Grimmjow, but then Ichigo grabs Grimmjow by the arm, not letting him fall down to the ground, and slowly lowers him to the ground instead.
Yeah, I remember when Ichigo could purposely fly.
Yeah.
Ichigo just kind of looks at Grimmjow as he's down on the ground with kind of like sad eyes, like he doesn't feel good about it, and sorrowful music starts to play. So I imagine that's how they want you to feel. Ichigo jumps away towards Orihime and Nell at this point, still kind of like looking sad. They're doing the thing where you can't see his eyes and like his hair's covering it. Orihime is like, are you hurt? And then Ichigo looks up and smiles for her, saying, I was going to ask you that. I'm fine.
Aww.
Orihime thinks, thank goodness, he's still my Ichigo.
Aww.
And then Nell fucking headbutts him, sending him flying back.
Yup.
That's the ship. That's the ship.
Ichigo is like, are you crazy? He's like, I'm standing in midair. If I didn't catch you, you would have died. Like,
She can't. She doesn't think.
Nell is crying, saying how happy she is that she's still alive. Ichigo says thanks, then like flies back to the pillar and sets her down, and then extends his hand out to Orihime, saying, we should go. Everyone is waiting for us. Somber smiles from Ichigo and a happy smile from Orihime because she's a psychopath.
She should have rejected his form right there, right?
Yep, right.
Yep. So they both look kind of outwards to the sky, and it says, to the next episode, and then that's the end of
Then
the
we
episode. So filler arc begins, as we've mentioned multiple times. It's where the new captain comes in, and he actually takes over Gin's squad.
Oh,
it's
so
not
it's Gin's.
Aizen's squad. So it's a new captain for Gin's squad.
Wow, that does not look good for that squad to have two bad
And
captains.
I remember he has like some sort of demon arm thing, like with an eyeball or something. And it's like it takes over his arm.
Oh.
Yeah, that's all I remember.
Is that right off the
almost
bat?
like Hanzo. Donzo.
I was like, Hanzo.
Dude, I miss him. I miss playing him so much. He's my favorite.
So I don't know how long this filler is, but I do think it's at least
It's gonna
10
be like
plus
10, yeah.
episodes. So we'll see. We'll see if that's going to be good.
Is he right off the bat with the demon?
No, you don't find out
you don't find out
later.
until later. Yeah,
There's like some shit going on later, and then you finally reveal it's like
because I think the first part of it is when they have the princess that they have to escort or some shit.
You
like
keep saying that, and I hope to God that's not true because I hate that part.
I know that's coming up, but I don't remember when.
Yeah.
F's in chat for you, my guy.
Sam's just not gonna. We're not gonna.
It
have
is
Bleach
nice
Boys,
of them.
yeah.
Like I was watching the episodes, and I was getting closer and closer to where it's like, okay, like I took a lot of notes this time, and I was like, I should really stop. So I was like, even thought about stopping. Like maybe I'll just do like 5, 4, however many. But it's like I'm right in the middle of the Grimmjow fight, and I kept getting close. I was like, I wonder where they're gonna end it. It's like they're not gonna finish the Grimmjow fight the next episode, are they? And then they did.
I thought they
I
didn't
was like,
though.
thank God they did, because that would be annoying as fuck if they went to a filler arc.
Yeah, no, that's true. I'm just curious how they go from here, because like Ulquiorra fights him in that same spot.
So
well, he breaks out.
Yeah, but where's Grimmjow's body? And
did you forget about Noatra?
yeah, Noatra showed up.
God, I hate him so much.
At least you get to see badass Nail in that form.
Yeah, hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So it's weird, and it's even the people writing the show realize it, because so I watch always the after credits for after every episode. They've stopped doing the fun parts where they like show you like an additional scene,
A random little.
but they still do have like the voice actors narrate over it, like not even talking about what's gonna happen next
right, I
time.
remember that.
They're like fighting or playing or something.
And like in this episode, it's Ichigo and Rukia talking, and she's like, "Wait, like Rukia, aren't you like dead or knocked out?" And she's like, "No, what are you talking about? Come on, we're gonna be late." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "We gotta go to school." And he's like, "Wait, what?"
No.
So it's like Rukia's in filler mode. Ichigo's like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" And
I
then,
like that though. That's fucking funny.
and then it starts fillers next episode. So
That's
I think
cool.
even they acknowledge like, yeah, listen, it's not gonna make sense, but here you go.
I just did it again. Damn it. So, but for the fillers, that means that Ichigo's not going to be the main character in that.
he
I
is
think
still.
he still is. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
It
Yeah.
somehow just revolves around him every fucking time.
It always does.
They need the
I
help
would've
of the substitute Soul Reaper.
I don't see. I think we've talked about it. Sam, you're in the camp of like fillers are for like funny shit.
Yeah.
Just keep it funny.
Yes.
I'm also in the realm of give me more lore on people that aren't the main character. Like if I got to know more about like
So,
Kitsugaya and stuff.
It's a shame that I feel, and I don't know if this is true, but I feel like as someone who read the manga, the light novels didn't start until after.
Yeah.
They
were
did.
done,
Yeah.
which is a shame because they could have done a Black Clover
yeah.
and
Oh
adapted
my
the light
God.
novels to the anime.
And no one would give a fuck about
I
fillers
would,
if it
yeah,
was
love
more
it.
like okay.
Yeah, like the light novels would definitely
so
be
like
the
if
filler.
they just started adapting, like they're like, hey, we need to make a spacing of 10 episodes. Like, yo, we just finished volume 1 of light novel. It's like
Take
it
it.
takes place back here. It follows this character that nobody cares about, but
Yeah.
it's like that's lore that like builds the world. Like
What
I'll
if we
take that.
If we had a filler on Yamamoto going around getting all the original captains,
Oh, that'd
and
be
shit,
sick.
that would've been
So
awesome.
badass.
So sick.
I feel like he would have found Kiraku in a bar or something. And
Be
then
like one of the like when they assemble the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, we need
It's-
you for the team.
Yamamoto's and Tony Stark's outfit. He's like, hey, bud.
Yeah. It's totally different genre, but I remember when Game of Thrones was finishing up, they were trying to rehype the show, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do prequel Game of Thrones where we find out more about the Night King."
Yes.
That's what kind of the hype. But just to bring that up, that never happened, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, they
I don't think so.
floundered so
Yeah.
hard. I think they got all that taken away from them.
Oh
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sounds about right.
Because the reason this is off topic as fuck,
Yeah.
but the reason they wanted to they got a Star Wars deal to go do their
Yeah.
own Star Wars stuff, but then they fucked themselves so hard.
And Disney canceled.
Lost the Star
yeah.
Wars. I don't think they have anything to do with the prequel Game of Thrones thing. I think
Oof.
they're just out.
They're just done.
Yeah. So that's a big oof.
Yeah.
But because like that would have been like the hype and story they were trying to build for that. That's what it would have been for like Yamamoto
But
going around.
the hope is, I would say going forward, right? 1,000 Year Blood War arc comes out. Fantastic. People
Yeah.
love it. At least I would guarantee the first half people will really like.
Yeah, I do
I
remember really
bet-
liking the original bit
I
of it.
saw, it's the end of the episode where we spoiled 1,000 Year Blood War arc. I saw a lot of people, and I didn't know people held this reaction, and I can kind of understand it, that people are upset that they didn't kill off Byakuya in the 1,000 Year Blood War arc. And
wow, that's what you
well,
guys were saying.
Yeah.
I can understand
I
that.
understand the
that.
feeling for that.
Because, like, he's done.
Yeah, there's no more that Byakuya could
He's
level
always
up.
been badass through the whole series, so that would have been raising the stakes had they killed off Byakuya.
Yeah, he would have
Like
been
that
a
would
good
have been like, yo,
captain
that's
to kill.
real. Like, because he's always been badass.
Him and Hitsugaya.
I feel like Hitsugai's had his up and downs of being.
He's
kind
just
of,
so
He's
much
been
of a fan.
essentially useless in my
trash.
opinion.
But he's such a fan favorite that they're never
Yeah.
gonna let him go.
Yeah, see, Hitsugai, I can see them not letting go, but Byakuya, I feel like is the perfect character. He's very loved.
because everyone loves him. He's a badass, and
Yeah.
not only that, his death would mean something.
And
to
yeah, he
Ichigo.
holds a lot to even Ichigo. Imagine Ichigo had
Yeah.
Byakuya died, even
If-
he would have been like, oh fuck.
If Kenpachi died, I feel like they could.
Kenpachi wouldn't have been as strong of a candidate.
But he would have been a good one
Yeah.
to have killed. But I
Yeah.
agree, Byakuya full shit. I mean,
That or Urahara.
he's the first captain we ever got a Bankai
Yeah.
from.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
he hasn't really.
We saw his Shikai and Bankai first Soul
Yep.
Society arc instantly.
But like they didn't do much with Byakuya either. I mean, aside from him being a badass and killing Yami,
Yeah.
that's
And all the Bount arc, he's pretty much just like, I'm here to like win.
Yeah.
You guys, and he helped Rukia and Renji get into
Yeah.
Hueco
yeah,
Mundo.
yeah,
It's like
yeah, he did.
he's dad.
Yeah, he's great. That's why I'm
so-
saying he's the perfect character to kill off. And man, that would have fucked up
That would have been
everybody.
great. Yeah, I
You
would
make
have
me
been like,
really not want to be that kind of character in real life. You're just like everyone's
no.
wishing for your death. Build the other characters up. Do it.
No one is wishing for that character's death, like in real life, like if
No,
you became
exactly.
that guy. But from like a meta writer perspective, it's like that's the perfect guy. Like that.
yeah,
And I feel like no offense to Byakuya, he's done.
I
enough.
love Byakuya.
yeah, he's
no, we
great.
all do.
It's just
Yeah.
I think he's
He's done
peaked.
enough.
Yeah,
he peaked.
yeah,
I feel like the Zenbone
yeah.
Sakura fucking reveal, or like, yo, this Kageyoshi, that's fucking
Yeah.
wild, and he's used it the same. Like,
Well, he
did-
has multiple cool parts in like the
Like
Espada
later
arc to
on,
even
yeah.
continue. Like
yeah,
they take down Yami, as they
Yeah.
did, and then he has the fight against the flower guy. Who is he number 9? I assume he's number 9.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
number
No,
9
number
was,
7. He's 7. He's 7.
Aranyero.
So he's 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he takes down number 7. So he has multiple moments to shine.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he comes in, takes out 7, then comes back.
But it's
with
like
Kenpachi.
The
and-
reason why like they kill him in the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, but then they have to give him like a new a
If-
sword and a Bankai because
Yeah.
we've seen it. Same thing with Renji.
Yeah.
It's like we've seen it.
That's why
Well,
Renji got a new one.
a new Bankai.
Yeah.
Did we ever see that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
a short sword almost, and he's got
Doesn't
like a
he-
baboon arm.
Doesn't the baboon arm go around
Yeah,
him?
something like that.
Yeah, okay, so I was thinking about that, right?
Yeah.
But it would have been cool if Byakuya saw Rukia's Bankai and was like, this is truly beautiful, and then died.
I think he does see it, doesn't he? He sees
no,
sees
I know.
it.
Yeah.
So that
So you want
part,
him to die after it?
after that?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I think that
that's
would have
the
been a
passing of the
really
torch, like your final, because she becomes a captain after
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It would
it's
have
like,
been it would have
here
been
you
cool
go.
though because in Rukia could in a sense feel that Byakuya passes,
Yeah,
and then it's like fuck.
Yeah.
because I loved her Bankai.
Yeah, her
I know
Bankai was
it's not
pretty sick.
Hirimaru, but
Disagree.
I love the
Nah,
fuck. out
I
of
prefer
it.
hearing Maru. If it
Always
makes you
second
look,
fiddle that guy.
yeah,
Fuck
it'll
him.
never be the
Fuck
best.
him, dude.
Never be
He's
the
been riding this
strongest.
train like, oh, dude, it's really bad. My dagger's about to go up. Fuck you. You've been riding on that shit this whole time.
Yeah, he does an asshole
He's
move.
my least favorite captain.
Really?
No, Soifon.
Well,
Soifon. I
well,
stand
okay.
corrected.
Oh,
Soifon
wow.
is my least
I like
favorite captain.
Soifung's character.
She has a missile for a Bankai.
She
That's
well, I mean,
stupid.
it makes sense. She's like, I hate this thing. It's not very stealthy.
Yeah.
No, it's
But she's
terrible.
not very stealthy herself.
No.
She's terrible. She's
Yeah,
literally
she's
the
not good.
worst fucking. Can you name a worse captain than her?
Like in battle
You're gonna hit
prowess?
me with the fucking wolf guy, aren't you?
Kamaru. His
Yes.
Bankai's just not like
honestly, if you
sheer strength.
he's
I
the
get
worst
it.
captain.
He's
he's the worst captain by far.
He's got the best captain vibe.
All right,
And it's like he is interesting because, like in the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, they literally reintroduced like, yo, that's a whole race.
Yeah,
like,
there's
they're
like,
yo,
he
what the fuck?
he
It's
goes
like-
to the Badger
It's
people.
like, yo, he's not an experiment or anything. He's literally a whole race, and they're like, yeah, we're not gonna go to that ever again.
and then he
though,
goes
so.
to his human form.
yeah.
Wait, he goes a human?
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I thought he was a wolf.
Well,
Oh, that's
What
right.
happens? What happens is like what he releases his full bond.
Yeah,
he's
and
like,
he can never go back. I think he's like dead after he does
Yeah.
that. He can never go back.
I don't
Yeah.
remember. Does he
No,
actually die?
so
I don't remember
I
if he
reread
did
the
actually die.
Wikipedia. I know he loses all his powers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I thought he becomes a wolf.
No,
I feel like his Bankai becomes like a weird.
It
no, his
becomes-
Bankai becomes a demon.
it becomes a demon later.
It's the demon Oni
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Well, because it was just like the what's it called? Like the armor that samurai
got-
wear.
He's like a
His Bankai sucks.
He's
From
a-
the design, it sucks.
his Bankai is a fat boy's wet dream. Like
Here's
you
the-
see like Chungus come in, you're like,
Here's
yeah.
my problem with his Bankai. Whatever damage that Bankai takes, he takes.
takes.
Which
Yeah.
is
Josh
dumb.
would be so okay with
Which-
that.
He's cool.
Mayuri doesn't have that. And Mayuri's is huge too.
Myers doesn't really have
It's just
battle
creepy.
potential. He just poisons
It
everybody.
charges. It's got daggers on his fucking
Oh,
chest.
That's right. That's so
Well, he
weird.
modified it, so.
Yeah, well,
he's like got the weirdest Bankai, I would say.
yeah, but still, it's like, how come he has giant fucker and he
But-
doesn't take any damage from it?
we're always bringing a gun to a knife fight where he's like the fucking.
Did we see
battering ram.
Ukitake?
Okay, well,
Taki's
imagine this:
Bankai?
Soifon versus Wolf Guy.
Yeah, he's
Soifon would
dicked.
win.
Yeah, because she just taps him 3 times
Yes!
on the big guy. He's
It's
dead.
only twice, by the way.
Is it twice?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought
twice.
it was 3.
No.
She has to hit her once
That's why
and one more
Yoruichi
at
had
the
a
same
bunch
time.
all over
Yep.
her.
And if she gets hit, if she does the missile, he's effed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucked.
Do you remember when he used
It's
to
like
wear the
he's like,
basket?
oh, I'm gonna dodge for the missile, no
Yeah.
problem. It's like, oh, I just shot at your big guy. So
Dude, remember when Danny found out that who Komamoru was after he took off the basket?
Yeah.
He's like, what the fuck?
yeah,
Yeah, it was a very weird reveal.
yeah, it is weird. And it's like that's something they planted in fucking Soul Society arc, and they're like, yeah, we're just not gonna come back.
He
to
would
that.
have had a good show if it was him versus Yami. I feel like that would have been the time for him to actually shine. Two
They
siege
fucked-
weapons.
I stand by his Bankai could have potentially been good if it didn't take the same damage.
See, here's my thing with
Yeah.
it. It could have been Susanoo.
That's yes, and everybody loves Susanoo.
Susanoo is so
It's like
bomb.
Remember, I
Susanoo is
would
one of the
survive car
coolest
accidents
moves in
with
all
that.
of fucking goddamn Naruto. Instead, they give him gimped Susanoo
Yeah.
that stands behind you.
And
I
you're not
wonder,
even
does
in
it even
it.
have the title of Susanoo? Because I feel like it's like a name that's in
Oh, yeah.
Japanese culture,
Yeah,
but
it is.
I don't think he has
It
it.
is?
Yeah,
It's a reoccurring
it's
theme.
yeah.
Oh, I thought no. Yeah, he was
But I-
asking if his Bankai has the name of Susanoo.
If
No.
they did, because imagine Shippuden
Yeah.
with fucking Susanoo coming out, and then they're like, oh, my Susanoo is
Yeah.
like, yeah, you
Because his Bankai sucks. So I do
Yeah.
have a question about Soifon. Does she come into play in the 1,000-Year Blood War at all? What does she do?
Not that I can remember.
Do you
She
remember
does
anything about what she
something,
does?
No.
but she's like written off.
Okay, interesting.
that makes sense. She's terrible.
Okay. Well, we'll have to get there and see, right? So who the fuck
Yeah.
knows? Thanks for watching. That's been Bleach Boys number 13. Did I say the right number?
Yes.
Yeah.
Be sure to leave a like and subscribe on the video if you're watching on YouTube. We are on all the other platforms, Google, Spotify, Apple, etc., etc. So be sure to download our stuff there if you want to listen to us on the go and you don't have YouTube Premium, which, by the way, you get a free, what the fuck did I just get? What's the Goo Stadia? I got a free
Stadia,
Stadia
yeah.
from being a premium member. Shout outs. So leave us 5 stars on that. Leave us a review. It helps us out. And we will see you guys next week for a filler episode of Bleach Boys. So stay tuned. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.